Hello, it's Liz. Welcome. This is the card I'll be sharing with you today. If you see, it's got a little glimmer, a little shine. Going to add lots of texture to today's card. Okay, so let's get started with that. The pieces that I'll be using today, I'm going to be using masks. If you haven't seen them, this is the one I'll be using, the flowers, but it is in the mini catalog on page 65. And it's right here, butterflies and flowers layering decorative masks. We have a number of them in our line, so check those out. So I'll be using a mask. I will be using this white frayed ribbon, which I love. It's super soft. I will be using clear embossing powder. It is much easier. When it comes, it will come in a small little container like this. Just a little tip for you. I think it's a whole lot easier to work with embossing powder when it's in something bigger. So this is just a larger container, like a Rubbermaid kind of container that it was just dumped into. Okay, so you get that little small thing of embossing powder, just put it in something bigger and it's easier to work with. And then I'll be using a heat gun. The stamp set that I'll be using today is this set here. It's called Here Together. And I'm just using the words from it for today. I'll be using the Love Changes Everything. And my ink that I'll be using today, I'll be using a Versamark and Gorgeous Grape. Okay? Versamark can be used for all sorts of different things. If this is new to you, Versamark, I can stamp an image. Let's see, I'm just going to show you here, okay? So I can take this, it's just a stamp. I'm going to put it in the Versamark and stamp on Gorgeous Grape. And what will happen is it will come out just one shade darker than the cardstock color. So can you see that down here? It will dry one shade darker. So it's great for backgrounds. Versamark is also good for embossing, which is what I'm going to be doing today. All right, so my pieces of paper, the cardstock that I have one piece which is 1 by 2. This is for my sentiment, so that will change depending on what sentiment you choose. But that's a 1 by 2. Then you'll need a piece of white cardstock that is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Gorgeous Grape cardstock, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And then this is for the card base. So this is an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of cardstock, just cut in half. So let me go ahead and fold that right away. Okay, so now we have our base. Anytime you're going to do some embossing, it kind of makes a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. It's crafting, right? But what I like to do is just grab some kind of printer paper, some kind of scratch paper, whatever. This is an old calendar page. Just flip that over, and that's what I'm going to just put my white piece of cardstock on. All right, so I'm just setting this down. This is the piece. It's a 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And then I'm taking my mask. You can grab just a piece. This is just a piece of washi tape. A piece of washi tape, a piece of painter's tape, whatever, to hold it in place. You can even use a Post-it note to hold it in place. So I'm just laying that there to hold that in place, okay? So my mask is on top of the white cardstock. Then I'm taking my Versamark and I'm just going to press on top. I'm pressing down on the whole thing. Press down pretty hard so that it gets inked well. And pressing on the whole thing. And the Versamark is what causes the embossing powder to stick to your cardstock. Okay, so it's Versamark all over. And then I want color. So I'm going to take the Gorgeous Grape and I'm going to press that pretty hard too, straight down on top. Embossing is pretty cool. It's been around for a long time, but it's still pretty fascinating to do. And maybe it's new to you. Maybe it's something you haven't done. Okay? So that is inked well. Now we're just going to carefully pull this off so you don't smear your ink. And you can just take this mask then and run it under water in your sink. This you want to do right away because your ink is wet. So I'm going to carefully take it. And this is where transferring your embossing powder to a bigger container is a whole lot easier to work with. Because I'm going to take this and just dump that right in there. And make sure it's well covered. And I could just pull this back out and tap off any excess. Okay, and we'll set that aside. I'm going to set this whole thing aside. And then I'm going to pull in my heat gun. The heat gun gets hot, so I would grab a scissors, a tweezers, or something to just hold it in place rather than your finger, so you're not burning your finger. And this is going to be take a little noise, so hang on a second. And you'll be able to see as you watch it change from a powder over to glossy is when you can tell when it's done. Okay, hopefully you can see that in the camera. That powdery look from the embossing powder is switching over to shiny glossy when it's embossed. You want to keep your heat gun moving. It doesn't have to be crazy like this, but you want to keep it moving so that you're not burning any kind of part of your paper. And truly, it's just like magic to watch. So when was the last time you've embossed? If it's something you've done before, has it been a while? Is this new to you? Okay, when you see the whole thing shiny and you don't see any more powder, then you're done. So look at that, right? Is that beautiful? All right. And then I want to do my words also. I'm going to emboss my words. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my words here. Let's open up both of these. I have the Gorgeous Grape ink pad and the Versamark. So I'm going to take the words, ink well with your Versamark, because that's what's going to cause your powder to stick. And then into the Gorgeous Grape. I'm going to stamp that down on here. Okay, and then take that piece right away. Don't wait a little bit because it'll dry. So you want to do it right away. Get your embossing powder on there. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing again. Hold with the scissors or something. And that you'll see that again, that change from the powder over to glossy shimmer. And there we go. Right? Is that magical? So much fun. It is a little bit messy because the powder kind of gets around. So, you know, if you're going to do this, if you're going to pull out your embossing powder, plan to do, you know, 5, 6, 7 cards at one time. So there we go. There's our piece. All right, let's assemble. I'm going to grab this one here. I'm going to use my adhesive. This is the Stamp and Seal, and I'm taking a strip of this frayed white cotton ribbon. And I'm just going to lay it right on top there. I'm going to wrap it around. Again, this card, I just want to have lots of texture on it, so I'm going to wrap that around to the back. And take my base. I'm going to use lots of dimensionals here. Okay, so let's get these backings off of here. My granddaughter comes over, and let me tell you, it's like a whole activity for her to walk around and find these little dimensional backings on the floor and picking them up. So it's entertainment. Can't get this last one off of here. There we go. All right. We'll put this on our card, on the card base. All right, I'm going to take this piece here, And I'm just going to put adhesive on the back of it. I'm not actually putting adhesive on the left side. You can, I'm just not going to. So just put this here. And we're gonna lay this down. Kind of try and even that out a little bit. All right, and again, I told you we're gonna do lots of dimension, so I'm gonna add dimensionals to the sentiments also. Let's pull those backings off. And it says love changes everything. And lay that down here, and there you go. And that is today's card. Got a little powder all over, but that's okay. Just gonna wipe that up and clean it up. But that's our card. Hope you enjoyed that. You see, look at this. You see the difference? This one, look how much darker this is than that one. What happens there and why that is? This one, I pressed that gorgeous grape really, really hard kind of in there to really get it. This one, maybe I pressed just a little bit lighter. Both beautiful, but the harder you press to get all that ink in all those spaces, you're gonna get a deeper look to it. So this is just kind of tapping the ink pad onto that mask, and this one's really pressing it in. So just two different looks to them, but they're both great. So hope you enjoyed that. Have a great day. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.